What is good, everyone? Welcome to this video. I'm Charlie from Conscious Creation, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you how you can start to become more aware of your belief system, how you can let go of beliefs that no longer serve you, and how you can integrate and align new beliefs with the reality you would love to experience. So when it comes to creating our reality, beliefs are essential because they are a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you truly believe to be true is going to be reflected back to you as a truth, like that of a big mirror. And because reality is showing you in the physical that this is the way that things work, why would you question it? Because it's right there in front of you. Here's the proof. But what if these are just beliefs that are reflected back to us? Now, when we have such a strong belief, it becomes factual. Now, when you say something is factual, it becomes solidified. Now, reality in itself is much more flexible, and realizing that we can change our beliefs is the flexibility in it. And if you say this is factual, it means it can't be changed. But once you realize it's just simply a deep belief, we can then learn to let go and decreate it and create new beliefs that actually serve us. If we say this is a fact, what we're saying is we're almost taking away our ability to create, because we're saying we can't change this. If we say it's a belief, we can then learn to let it go. How are beliefs created? They are created through your attention and your emotion. So the more attention and emotion that you give your thoughts, the more likely they are going to be created as a belief. And it then becomes part of your unconscious, your subconscious mind, which again projects it out into the world, and you get this reflection. Now, the interesting thing about beliefs is that they create emotions. So if we have a certain belief system, that's going to determine how we feel about something. So if you have a belief system such as money is the root of all evil, and you then start to acquire more money in your life, you are going to start feeling guilty. And if you start to feel guilty, this means that the money is then going to be taken away from you. So this creates what we call a belief triangle. So we have created those beliefs by building our attention and our emotion on certain thoughts. That creates the belief. Now that holds the power, because that's now going to produce emotions, which are then going to produce certain actions. And because of those emotions and those actions, it's going to keep creating the same thing. So we get this loop confirming more and more that of our belief system. How many people say, I'll believe it when I see it? I will believe it when I see it. Now, for this to work, we need to understand that it actually works the other way round. We need to believe in something first. We must have that assumption, that conviction within ourselves, and we can then see it in the outside world. What can be a problem is when we take on other people's belief systems. This is why we want to be careful of people who are trying to teach us things, because if we say that is true, and we allow that to become a belief system, their belief then becomes our belief. A good example of this would be, let's say you're sitting at the table with your family having a meal, and your father walks in, he sits down, and he's had a hard day at work, and he sits down and he says, it's incredibly hard out there. You have to work really hard in order to get the things that you want. Everyone out there is out to get you. Now, particularly if you are a kid, you are much more suggestible to this information, and it starts to become your truth, your belief system, and it's then implanted upon your subconscious mind. You then grow up, you then go out into the world starts to give you the same reflection as your father did, and you then say, this is how reality works. My father was absolutely right. But once we understand this system, we can start to be aware of these limiting beliefs that no longer serve us. Now, in order to release these limiting beliefs, often what people do is they go on, it's like this witch hunt to hunt these beliefs down and get rid of them. We must understand that we chose and we created these limiting beliefs in the first place in order to serve us. There were lessons that we maybe needed to learn first. And so in that case, once we accept that, it's much more easier to release that belief. If you look at that belief and say, oh, that's a really bad belief, I don't want you around, there's a good chance that it's going to stick around a lot longer. So accepting and being almost thankful for those limiting beliefs is the key to releasing it. Now, if we want to find more of these limiting beliefs, all we need to do is look at our life, because it is simply reflecting our belief system. So let's say you are lacking abundance in your life and you want to attract more abundance. That's a belief system. A really good question that you can ask yourself is, what would someone believe to be true in order to experience this reality? And simply becoming aware of that belief system, you can then choose to let it go. Often what people do is when they see that outer world is they say, oh, I don't want this, I don't like that. But they're reaffirming more of their belief system. So if they're focusing on their lack, what are they doing? They're putting their attention and their emotion, and they're reaffirming that belief. So what we need to do is, let's say we are lacking that abundance in our life. What is the opposite of lack of abundance? It's abundance. So we switch our attention and our emotion to start visualizing, daydreaming, mentally rehearsing in our mind, and that solidifies more and more into a belief system. And that will then be reflected back to us in time. When we do this is we want to be somewhat realistic. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word be realistic, but for example, let's say you are doing a job that you don't enjoy, and you are now creating a belief system of you being a multimillionaire and being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want. Great. If you want that to be your belief system, no problem. However, you may have other belief systems that say, oh, this is going to take 10 to 20 years in order for this to work. And we've been so conditioned to look outside of ourselves for evidence. So if you're daydreaming and you're mentally rehearsing and you then open your eyes and you realize it's not around you, you're going to be like, oh, it's not here. Again, reaffirming that old belief. So you want to start with something a little bit smaller. So we could say you enjoying what you do full time and supporting yourself doing that. That's a much more realistic belief system for you to create. Doesn't mean you still can't have that other belief system. It's just we are creating the smaller ones as we go along, and then we can build it up to that much larger one. Now, one of the biggest limiting beliefs that we can have is that our imagination is not real. Your imagination is strongly linked to your outer world. And so switching this belief is really important if you want to start encouraging more of that visualizing and more of that mental rehearsal. But as you start to create more of that belief by focusing your attention and your emotion on what you do want, is you can start to see a shift in your reality in 3 days. And if that really becomes a belief within you, your whole reality can start to shift within 3 weeks. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little sort of diagram up here that can help you in a more practical way on how to apply this in your life. So let's say we're seeing stuff in our reality that we don't want. We start visualizing, we start creating that new belief within ourselves. We need to then start taking action, because you only take action on what you believe. So if you aren't taking any action, you aren't reaffirming that belief. If you really believed that, you would start taking some action. So we create the belief, we start doing the action that we can with the circumstances that we have got to reaffirm that belief. You will then start to get a new reflection in your reality. What do a lot of people do? Again, is they try and change the reflection. They try and change the mirror. Instead, we're going to go back to a feedback loop and back to our belief system. And it's almost like we become this belief surgeon, tweaking our beliefs within us over and over, taking the necessary action. And over time, as we start to align our beliefs with the reality we would love to live. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. Peace and take care.